keep on playing. Hi everybody, I'm Maggie. Come into my kitchen, Mrs. Calabash cooks. It's a cold, bright, sunny day actually. I think we're going to get snow tomorrow. And so in this cold weather, my stomach shrieks comfort food. And to me, there's nothing more comforting than some roast pork with apples. We never serve roast pork in England without serving either some apples with it or apple sauce. And a real favourite of mine, because it combines my two favourite vegetables, potato and cabbage. And it's an Irish Colcannon and potatoes with cabbage. Traditionally Irish. I always used to serve this when I lived in Ireland on Paddy's Day. I deviated a little bit from the traditional because I put some carraway seeds in. And to me, carraway seeds go with cabbage. They just bring out the flavour. So to begin with, I've melted, and I've not been drinking, honestly. I defrosted a tenderloin of pork, which I had in the freezer, and just cut it into slices. I've cut it fairly thinly today because I want to get it cooked in time. And here we've got cinnamon, Mrs. Calabash spice, seasoning, and just 1 teaspoon of fresh sage. Sage brings out the flavour of the pork. Now, just remember, if you're using dried sage, only use 1/2 teaspoon. But my sage plant in the dining room has just decided to grow again, so I snipped a little bit off. And I want to rub this in to the pork. Now, before the cameras came on, I just washed my hands. So I want to make sure that the meat has got the seasoning on there, like that. You don't need too much. You don't want to pork is quite a mild flavoured meat, so you don't want to overpower it, but you just want to give it a little bit of help. And so I'm now going to wash my hands. And don't forget, when you're cutting raw meat, use a cutting board that you can put in the dishwasher, or you can pour really, really hot water or boiling water over it to kill all the bacteria. So now I'm just going to go and wash my hands again. Hot soapy water. If you really don't feel as though you can touch the meat, then use a pair of tongs, or put latex, I was going to say lactics, I'm thinking about lactic acid, latex glove on, and that will just protect your hands. But I like to knead the seasoning into the meat. So let's go back to the stove. On here I've got my pan, and for convenience today I just pre-cooked the onions. Just slice the onions into wedges. Now it doesn't matter if you've got a red onion or a yellow onion or a sweet onion, whatever you've got in, because you don't want to have to buy onions specially for this. So excuse me, we're going to add the pork to the skillet, and we just want to brown the pork a little bit. You can hear it sizzling. There we are. You could, if you didn't want to slice the tenderloin of pork, cook a whole tenderloin and then slice it when it's been cooked. But I like to slice my tenderloin and then you get all the nice juices. Now when you get a tenderloin, you'll notice that it's got little bits of gristle and a sinew on it. Now take that off, and I always take out the fat and the gristle. I don't waste it because we have dogs, and so I cook it up with some vegetables, and the dogs love it on the kibble for supper, and that's what they're going to have tonight for supper. They could smell it. So, but you can always cook it up and make some stock out of it. So it's not wasted. So just doesn't take long. Pork doesn't take long to cook. There we are. We just need both sides browning. Look, you can see it all. That's getting a little bit warm. There you are, like that. We want to make sure that all the pork is nice and brown. This is the sort of meal that you can get ready in minutes. Sit round the fire and with a nice glass of white wine and have the fire going and be really, really comfortable, especially when the snow comes tomorrow. Dave's really excited about the snow. We can get out with his snowblower, his latest toy. So now we've got that nice and brown, we're going to add the onions. The onions add a nice flavour. Now when you're cooking the onions, remember, anybody that watches the show knows I like to cook the onions slowly so that all the nice sweetness comes out, and we want them to be translucent but not burnt. So a slow heat. Now this is, because the pork is quite thin, it's not too far from being cooked, and so I sliced some apples just before we came on air, so I'm just going to drain these. I didn't want them to go brown, so I just put a little lemon juice in the water, and that stops them from oxidising. So we're going to put the apples on. I've got a mixture of apples here. I looked in the crisper to see what apples I've got, and I've got some green apples, some red apples, some gala, an odd gala. It was apples which had gone past the prime, so this is an ideal way of using them. Let's just put that over there. So we want to cook these until you can see now there's juice coming out, and we need that juice. We want to cook these until the pork and the apples are cooked. And whilst we're doing that, then we're going to cook the cabbage. I've already parboiled the potatoes so that they're already cooked. And if you're preparing a meal for somebody coming in, I would always recommend doing the potatoes beforehand, and then you're not rushed at the last minute. You can probably hear the hounds and the Baskervilles. They're corralled in a bedroom upstairs, and for some unknown reason they've decided that they want to be down here, and they know. So they're corralled in the bedroom, and Cokie, the little one, starts to howl, and he sets everybody else off. So please bear with us. Now the sauce, well, it's not really a sauce, it's like a drizzle over, and this is sweet apple cider. Not hard apple, sweet apple. And there's 3/4 of a cup in there of apple juice, and we just need this to boil down until it's about a quarter to a half cup, depending how thick you want the drizzle. But just bear in mind, if you're like me and a diabetic, it is very sweet. So, and the more you boil it down, the sweeter it gets because of the sugar content. So let's just put that over there like that. I've got the potatoes already cooked, but first of all, I am just going to, a bit different to the recipe because it says mash your potatoes and then make your cabbage, but I'm going to make the cabbage mixture here. So we're going to have a change around because this is a very low burner. Let me move that over to there. This one onto here, and I will probably move this over to there. We're using all the burners today, you see, on the stove top. Just keep an eye on this. You don't want it to burn. Turn it down a little bit. Now the butter is melting, as you can see. It was lovely living in Ireland because there's a lot of cows, a lot of pasture, and so the cheese and the butter was so fresh it wasn't true. So in here for the potato, I've got the skillet with it. I've got a tablespoonful of butter. Now I'm going to add into here, I'm going to add the garlic and the cabbage. I've got about a quarter of a head of cabbage, but how big is a head of cabbage? So play it by ear. So I just roughly sliced it, as you can see. I don't like putting cabbage through a food processor. I find it processes it too much. So we want that to cook. There we are. I don't like my cabbage overcooked. So, this is lovely, especially on a cold night. There we are. Let's just bring that up and cook it like that. I will strain the potatoes. They're nice and hot. Let's turn that off. Now don't forget, when you're cooking potatoes, put them in cold water with a little salt. And then just put them in cold water with a little salt, and then it'll be they'll cook perfectly. Always salt the water because you can tell that even if you salt it at the end, you can tell if the food has been seasoned beforehand. And my favourite story is on my final exam, cooking a dinner party, a 6-hour exam, and I forgot to salt the potatoes. And I thought I got them really, really well seasoned. And the examiner came by, took a spoonful, and drummed the fingers like this, and said, "And yes, Miss Allen, and who forgot to salt the potatoes?" And I thought, wow, I didn't know there was a difference. I was only 19, and it's borne with me ever since. You must season as you go along. Don't over-season. You can always add seasoning, but you can't take it away. And so we're going to put a little butter on the side of the potatoes and some cream. This isn't if you're on a diet. And some cream. Now, we're going to put the lid on that and put it on one side whilst we cook the cabbage. And then we're going to mash the potatoes, and that just adds a whole nice creamy way of making potatoes. I've got the cabbage cooking. I'm going to add some onion. Now, the recipe says green onions. I've got a confession to make. I went shopping yesterday. I've got a list of ingredients and I'd had a terrible journey into the store. The roads hadn't been cleared. I'd had to go out to another village about 3/4 of a mile away. It took me 1.5 hours to get there, and I forgot to pick up the green onions. And I thought, well, you know, you're not going out to buy green onions or anything like that just to put in with some potato and cabbage. In Ireland we could nip out into the garden because it doesn't get too cold, and very often the green onions were still in the garden. Now I've just put some very, very finely chopped red onion in there, so it will cook very quickly. And if you don't have that and you've got some dried chives, just put half a teaspoonful or so of dried chives in there, just to give that onion a flavour. Don't go out specially to buy 2 green onions where you might not use the whole bunch. There, the cabbage is cooked. I'm going to taste that because it might need a little seasoning in. At this stage I'm going to add, these are the carraway seeds. They have a sort of licoricey flavour. I've only got half a teaspoon because they can be a little bit overpowering. So let's just mix all that together. We don't want the cabbage to cook too much. Turn it down. Woohoo! Just a little bit more for the drizzle. We can turn that up a little bit. So now we want to taste the cabbage and see if it needs any more seasoning. I'm going to add, I know I'm going to have the potatoes, but I'm going to add a little seasoning to that because I find it a little bit too bland. The carraway seeds gives a really nice nutty flavour to it. There we are. That's great. So now we're going to mash the potatoes. This is just about cooked. So you see, it's very, very quick and easy. Let's go over to the butcher block. I can get a better grip on the potatoes. So come with me over here. I just need my potato masher. Where did I put it? Here we are. And taste this. Yes. Whoa. We'll see if we have to add any more butter to it or any more cream. Traditionally, potatoes are mashed and not beaten with a wooden spoon or an electric beater, and that's why we cook them this way. If you're not putting them to one side and you're going to add some milk, then just warm the milk before you add it to the potatoes. needs to be tasted now. Yes, we can always add a little more seasoning when we've added the cabbage to it. Just going to give this a final once over. Switch that off. That will do whilst. So we have the cabbage, and we're going to add the potato to the cabbage. Let me just put this over here and mix everything together. And then this is where we're going to check for the seasoning again. All needs to be mixed in together. I just used an ordinary green cabbage today. It's up to you what sort of cabbage you use. So let's just see if we need some more seasoning. I think just a little pepper, no more salt, but just a little pepper. So we'll get the pepper. Just a little black pepper. There we are, that will do. I always grind my own black pepper, because otherwise you don't know how long it's been ground, and it loses all its, once a spice is ground, it loses its volatile oils and it's not as flavoursome. Yep, lovely. The pork is cooked. So you see, it's taken about 25 minutes so far to cook. So I'm going to serve my cabbage, my potato and cabbage, make a bed like that. Now, if you've got people coming and you're not sure of their likes and dislikes, then I would serve the cabbage and potato separately from the pork and let them help themselves. But I know that we like this, so. There we are. It's what I call peasant cooking. Beautiful. It's the best way to cook. Put that on there. I've got the pork, going mad again. We just pull this closer. And, ooh, that's hot. Have my So lay the pork out, and we can say, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. We're going to be nice and warm, with plenty to eat. That cabbage is an excellent way if you've got children, but a little bit fussy, should I say, with eating greens. And I found when the kids were small, that I could combine it with potatoes and they'd love it. Whereas if I served cabbage on its own, they'd turn their nose up and have a bit of a tantrum. So we want all the juices from the meat to go in there. And now we're just going to drizzle the apple cider over the top. I've done it again, it's hot. So just go backwards and forwards like that with the glaze. That just is absolutely delicious. If it looks a little bit bland, take it to the table. Then I've got a green pepper here, an orange pepper. Let's just rinse it. And we'll just make a little bit of decoration for it, because you eat with your eyes. A nice sharp knife. Take out all the pips. Put that over there. Now, you could add some more sage on there, some chopped sage, or a little parsley, some green onions if you had some green onions, just to add a little bit of colour. But that, everybody, is my tenderloin of pork. Hi Lou! Hope everything's okay. That's my daughter from England. She always watches, which is nice. It's a way of keeping in touch. I don't feel as though I'm on another continent. I actually feel as though she's with us. And I've not seen her for 2 years, so we're due for a visit. So, hi Lou, hope everything's okay. And so, there we are. That's our tenderloin of pork with the colcannon of cabbage and potatoes. Now next week we're going Indian. I thinking, yes, we've done enough bland food. Let's go Indian. So I'm making what am I making? A masala, chicken masala, and I can't remember what I'm with rice. Certainly a chicken masala with rice, and also it's an Indian dessert. Very, very quick and simple, fresh fruit. And so that's next week's show. So please go to mrscalabashcook.com, and on Facebook, if you like the show, please share it with a friend. So I'll see you next Friday, 2 p.m. Okay, Jabor. Bye guys. Don't forget Tuesday, 7 p.m., 7:30, sorry, for the round table chat. And I've got a very interesting guest this week. Oh, we're having it on Monday this week, aren't we, Derek? Yeah, Monday this week, because Chris can't come any other day. So that's Monday at 7:30 this week for our round table chat. So please, I'll see you then. So have a great weekend. Bye. $20.